Tell them what we did today. I know you're going to crush this.
Do you put me on the spot like that? I can't do that.
Yeah, I'll give you an appetizer here. Say, hi, I'm Amanda Graham. We just talked about X, Y, and Z on 50 Days of Grey show with Matthew Gray. He did this, or I said that, or we connected, or we didn't, or whatever it might be. Tell the joke. Do the promo. Have fun.
Okay. Hi, this is Amanda Graham, comedy writer, script editor, and public speaker, and I have just had so much fun chatting with Matthew Gray from 50 Tastes of Grey. We talked a lot of food. I'm not going to lie. I found out some things about carbohydrates and whether people really eat them or not. We've talked cheese, we've talked life advice, both good and bad, and we are both leaving this podcast having learned some things along the way, maybe made a couple of friends. Yeah, I love that for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you go down to Liverpool, will you be able to pick up the whole Liverpool accent?
It's so funny because it is one of the hardest accents to do. It's really weird. Like you can pick up on the inflection. So you'd be like, hey, all right, like, and it's quite sing-songy, but the actual accent itself, I don't know if you know who Martin Freeman is, but he's a really well-known, okay. So he did a series over here about a cop in Liverpool, and he had to study for 2 years to get the accent down.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he nails it. It's amazing.
So how would you define your accent?
Oh, God. I don't know. It's all over the place, really. Because I'm English, and we lived in the States when I was a kid. My mom's side is, from Brooklyn, like from New York. And, but I've been back over here for like almost 30 years now. So, I don't know. I guess it depends on how much Jack Daniels I drink, Matthew. Because I used to live in the South as well. So if I drink Jack Daniels, then the twang kind of kicks in,
So is that your go-to spirit?
Oh, God, yeah. But I can't keep it in the house because it's way too Moorish. Do you have a go-to spirit?
I'm a gin dude.
Nice. What do you like? What kind of gins? How are you mixing them?
I make my own ginger syrup.
Ooh, okay, fancy pants.
So it's ginger syrup. It's like, it's pretty simple, but you can't beat that. It's medicinal too, so it's probably really good for you.
That's what my nan would say, purely medicinal.
Now, you said that your mom was from Brooklyn. Are you able to do the Brooklyn accent?
Yeah, I'm a little out of practice, but
lay it on me.
Well, all I have to do is imagine my grandmother talking about whatever. She just used to talk like this all the time. So yeah, I think it's okay. I think it's all right. I used to have like a tarot channel on TikTok, and I never had anyone question that I was from New York or Brooklyn or whatever. So, I mean, it's probably terrible. You're probably going, no, that's awful.
No, I can buy that. Definitely. You would have me fooled for sure.
Yeah, I just have to try and imagine what my grandmother would say, but say it in a much less mean way.
Oh, was she a little bit like tough sounding?
Yeah, she used to say really funny. I mean, she was quite a mean lady, actually. She was so mean. It wasn't one of those trips to grandmother's unless someone left crying at 2 a.m. You know what I mean? And but she used to always say. Now her voice was a lot more gravelly because she used to smoke more 100 menthols.
Oh, so she was a Scotch and Siggy's girl.
Oh well, she would have a plastic glass of wine and a tin of beer, and then she would have her. She would have plastic cover, obviously, on the dining room table. And she would sit there. And I remember one time she gave me this advice. She was always like, if you ever want to get any man's attention, Amanda, just put on red lipstick slowly in front of him. It works every time. And she was the reason that I always wore lipstick ever since I was like 14 years old. It's what I'm known for. So, yeah, that's like my little homage to grandma.
Oh, that's very cool. Now, you have to let me know, do you put lipstick on or apply it, as they say, when you're in public, let's say at a restaurant?
Oh, yeah.
Right there at the table?
100%. The jig is up. The jig is up. I don't care. What do you think about this?
Well, for me personally, never. But when my mom and sister used to do it back when I was living in LA or New York or whatever, that always made me a little bit crazy. I would say, why don't you do your personal business in the restroom, right? In the
Yes.
toilet, as you would say
Yes.
as a Brit. And they just couldn't understand the problem that I had with that.
I think that's a fair enough point. I think it depends on what restaurant. That's probably what I should have asked, right? So, like, if I'm going to a fancy restaurant, if I'm at Claridge's or something, I'm not going to put it on at the table, obviously. But if I'm at the Olive Garden, yeah, it's happening.
Amanda, this is how stuff gets out of control. I mean, the next thing you know, people are going to be flossing at the table. And I don't think that that's very cool.
That's true. I do that. It could be a slippery slope, Matthew.
Right,
It could.
right.
You're right.
But I don't want you to now feel awkward the next time you go out and you just reach for your lipstick and you think, oh, Matthew said,
I know.
so see what happens then.
Someone will take a picture of me and send it right to you. I can see it now.
Now, Amanda, when I got pitched by you, I was very interested because you said, I just want to have fun. And
Yeah.
I never, ever balk at a woman who says to me, I just want to have fun. So that was probably the primary reason why we put you on today. And then I started reading and researching you. And one of the things that also caught my attention was that before we get into your book or your brain or your Britishness, I need to start with this cattle stampede that you talked about when you were in Scotland, and you took a photograph that you claim contains the biggest balls ever seen on a bull. Now,
100%.
this is important to me because, well, I'm very concerned about balls, especially my own, but I'm interested in, you have to walk me through that moment.
Okay, so my son and I were on this 3-week road trip called the Summer of Saul, named after him. And it was a disaster. I mean, don't get me wrong, loads of amazing things happened, but it was a disaster. Like, we almost got washed away in floods. It rained almost the whole time. My nan had a stroke, so then we had to look after her in the middle of it. It was just one thing after another, and it wasn't until we had a flat tire. It just... Anyway, we get to Scotland and it's so beautiful. I love Scotland. Have you been there before?
I've not yet.
You need to go. And the Culinary tour, we can talk about this another time, but oh my God, the food is incredible there. And so we get there, we get to a place called Mull, which is this beautiful island off the west coast. And it's really weird because the beaches in Scotland, a lot of them look like beaches in Antigua. Like, you would never know the difference. It's really strange. So we wanted to go to one of those fancy beaches. Now, Mull is all like single lane roads. So whenever someone's coming the other way, you have to pull over and wait for them to go by. And so it takes an hour to get to Mull. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
So anyways, we went to the beach, and then of course it started raining because it's Scotland. And so we decided to head back, and we come around the corner because it's all like big cliffs and, I mean, we come around the corner, and then all of a sudden there's all these cows on the road, and we're like, whoa, what's happening? And so we're just stuck there, and thank goodness we didn't hit any of them. But then we just had to wait for all of these cows to go by us. No, there was no person there. It was just a bunch of cows. And so they're hitting our car and, whatever else. And then we saw, my son, so Saul was probably 10. So you can imagine, like, kids have radars for these things. Like, you don't even have to be looking in that direction. It's like, do, balls nearby. And so, and Saul just was like, look at those. And obviously we had the phone. We had to take photos because we had just never seen. I mean, I did date one guy that, like, I could probably rival that bull, but one person in 54 years, so it is a pretty rare occurrence. It was ridiculous.
So you saw those balls and you were thinking, this is content I've got to post.
Yeah.
More so than this is a very dangerous situation.
It was surely the most popular, like, I'm not like a big content freak, but I am a big freak for something that's really funny. And I knew that was going to be the most popular picture out of the entire Summer of Saul, and it surely was.
Did your sonny boy say, Mom, why are we photographing this? Or was he all into it?
If I remember correctly, I think that he might have pushed me out of the way to get the photo or whatever. Like, he's just as ridiculous as I am. So, like, he's got that kind of comedian sense of humor type thing innate in him.
It's crazy. You guys call them on your side of the pond, you say bollocks, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so that just is interchangeable with the word balls when it's
Yeah. Yeah, the
regarding
biggest
testicles.
parabolics ever. Though
Okay.
we also say if something is like crap, like if something is if someone's lying, we would say that's a load of bollocks as well. So we have a couple different meanings for bollocks. Do you ever hear bollocks at all?
No, not at
Never.
all.
No.
So it's going to be new to whatever Americans are watching right now. But isn't
Oh,
there
I love
also
that.
a positive usage of the word bollocks? Something to do with dogs, bollocks being a positive
Oh, the
thing?
dog's bollocks. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's something. That's like the bee's knees. So, yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in London for a while. I schooled there as well. And those words, when I was first introduced to them, I had to get like a book to be able to decipher what I was listening to, because this is way before the internet where I could just look it up.
Amazing. Where in London were you?
Vicarage Gate, South Ken.
Okay, so is there a culinary school there, or were you?
Well, Cordon Bleu is in
Oh
London.
my
So that's where I
God,
went. Yeah.
that's very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, my brother would be insanely jealous. He was a chef for a really long time. He'd be insanely jealous. Can
Oh.
I ask you, what was your favorite thing you learned there?
Oh, wow. You know, being a Yank in London was just so great because I was an Anglophile for a long time prior to even going to school there. But as far as what I learned was just about interchange with people and communication, more so than the food thing, because I was always pretty good before I went in.
Yeah, that's really cool. And how long were you there for?
Well, I was in London for over 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's such a cool city.
And I've been back
Um,
several times since.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Like it's a great place. It's a great city to walk through as well. When the weather's really nice, it's stunning.
Oh, the architecture, the art, everything there is just so nice. The color on the streets and the displays and all of that.
It's so odd, like you don't even know. You're walking past things that you don't even know like have historical significance. Like one time I was walking past this plinth. It was a plinth, like a step, like a marble step,
Yeah.
and I tripped over it, and because I just wasn't paying attention. Surprise, surprise. And then I found out it was the step that Lord Wellington, used to use to get out of his carriage to then go into his house. And so it's just things like that everywhere.
Oh, yeah. You see things
It's just
that
so cool.
it is really, really cool. I love London, and I love it so much that many years later, after living there and coming back to the States and so on, I once flew from Honolulu to London just to see a concert.
Wow, which concert?
Roddy Frame, who used to
Who's
be the
that?
lead guy for Aztec Camera,
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
and he was a Scottish guy, or is a Scottish guy, and one of
Yeah.
my favorite artists. So, when you fly from Honolulu to London, you better like what you're going there for.
Oh gosh, yeah, 100%. Like it's got to be well, you're going to have to make memories. You're going to have to take photos. You're going to have a really good time.
Right. When I tell people that story, everyone goes, who? They're expecting I'd go there for, U2 or Bowie or something like that, but no, it was my guy.
Hey, you got to go for I've flown all over the place to see the monkeys. They're my favorite. I just adore them. And yeah, like if you've got a favorite, you'll do anything to see them.
This might thrill you, but I once made contact with Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees. We walked into each other at the supermarket in Los Angeles. Actually
Ah,
bumped into each other.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, they're lovely. Well, rest in peace, three of them. But yeah,
Right.
lovely, lovely guys.
Gosh. So, Amanda, you call yourself, or you at least have a little bit of shiksa in you because you called yourself a 3X shiksa
Three
goddess.
times six. So yeah.
Now, tell me the origin story of that.
Well, it's funny because I guess because my mother was from Brooklyn, and so most of her friends were Jewish, and so we kind of grew up around, Yiddish and kind of a lot of cultural stuff. And then I did loads of theology, and so I was learning all of Hebrew, Bible stuff and history, and so I've always been kind of culturally connected one way or the other. And I used to always joke about being half Jewish because people would be like, "How do you know all this? Are you Jewish or half Jewish?" And I'd be like, "Well, I am in here," and which was. There's a funny story with that, but and I just was always attracted to Jewish men, and not as a monolith, not as like as a kind of fetish or anything, but just always happened to be Jewish guys with slutty glasses. I just love them, and so I started dating them, but it never went well because I was this ridiculous kind of semi-manic pixie dream girl, in the late 80s, early 90s, and just a little bit wild and with no interest in settling down or, I just wanted to have fun and do things and experience life. And so I think I was a bit of a nightmare for them.
So the Jewish guys weren't digging on you, or you
No,
were?
they were,
Yeah.
but the moms weren't.
Oh,
The moms weren't.
right.
So, so the first time, the first guy I dated, Matthew, he said, I'm warning you, my mom's going to call you a shiksa. And she did.
That's
and
not
so
derogatory. So for anyone listening, that really
right,
isn't
okay.
derogatory.
I think she meant
But she meant it that way.
Yeah, but what was really funny was after all of those years of joking about it and whatever else, a couple years ago when my nan was about 93, she had a heart attack, and so I looked after her for about a month, until my aunt could fly over and look after her. And she was doing that thing that a lot of older people do when they see the end coming, and so they just start spouting out family history. And she says randomly, I think we were in the car going to get a coffee or something, I can't remember, but she says, oh yeah, so in 1923, my mother changed her last name because we're Jewish, and because the anti-Semitism was so bad, she lived in a very industrial, poor, shitty town that I will not name in England, and really just a piece of crap town.
Is it still
It
that
hasn't
way?
changed at all. Hasn't. And
Hasn't.
when she died, R.I.P. I was like, I will never have to go there ever again. It was wonderful, but and she said this really offhand, and I said, oh, I wasn't really. I was just like, oh, that's wild. I wonder why no one said anything about this. This is really weird, and then she told me what great-grandma's last name was, and I couldn't remember, but my brain was going, when you get home, write all this down. And then, of course, I forgot. And then after she died, my dad got his chromosomes tested, like his DNA tested, and he goes, I'm Ashkenazi Jewish. Why? And I was like, why? Because Nana's Jewish. And he was like, wait a minute, what? And he's like, yeah, her mom changed her last name when Nana was little because of the anti-Semitism. My dad was like, he had no idea, Matthew. And so he was like, well, what was it? And I was like, what was it? I couldn't remember because I'd forgotten to write it down. It's awful, I know. And my dad's been going crazy trying to find it. But because my Nana's mom was never married to her husband or to her, the father of her children, it's just really difficult to find that. I don't even think she did it officially. I think she just did it, So I am, ironically, after all that, half Jewish.
Wow. So for a second, I was just thinking you were Jewish by injection. But now knowing that you're half Jewish, the accounts,
Exactly. Both ways, why not?
Right, exactly. So your wildness back in the 80s and 90s and dating all these Jewish guys, did it ever result in you hooking up and staying with someone for long-term marriage, or are you 3 times married?
No. Yeah, no. I have been married once. He is a Gentile.
Do you know what the word for that is?
Oh, wait, I do. Hold on. No. It's Goyim.
Well, Goyim actually represents everyone who's non-Jewish, but a non-Jewish girl, as you said for yourself, you're a shiksa. A non-Jewish boy is a shagitz.
Shagitz. Oh, okay. I don't know that one. That's a new. I love learning a new word
Write
like
it down,
this.
Amanda.
It's right there. I always have notes when I do any podcasts or anything. So
that's good.
People always say very interesting things.
So tell me about doing everything the hard way. The Amanda method, because, but first, before you explain that, tell everyone the name of your book.
Okay, so the name of my book is Good Stuff to Read When You're About to Lose Your Shit.
Okay, now tell us about doing everything the hard way, the Amanda method.
It's so funny, Matthew. I didn't invent the Amanda method. It just kind of happened that way. And it was, I think, I've always picked wanting to do things at the wrong time, or I've picked things that have huge gatekeepers. And I mean, you understand this because you come from the culinary world, right? And so I can only imagine what gatekeeping, it must have been absolutely insane for you. So you get it, right? Like it's, I started, I was going to be an academic, and then I was going to be, and that took forever to get through. And then I wanted to do TV, and that, because I didn't start till I was in my 30s, that's geriatric in this industry.
Right.
And then the same with comedy. Nobody would let me write anything. So then I had to start in my 40s as a stand-up to get the comedy writing down so that I could be discovered. And it's just been like one thing after another, but it's just, I haven't really had any doors open for me, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean that in a woe is me kind of way. It's more, I have terrible discernment when it comes to choosing timing and whatever else. So I generally get what I want, but it just takes a lot longer for some reason for me.
Is there a Mount Rushmore of your most unnecessarily difficult life choices?
Oh my God. Just the four?
Right.
Let's see. I guess I didn't. Yeah, but see, there's always a good reason. So, like, I didn't start working properly until, like, I would, don't get me wrong. I've been working since I was 13 or 14, Generation X, hello. But, but in terms of a career, I didn't do that until I was mid 30s. I was doing a lot of temping and waitressing and bartending and all this type of stuff. And so that was probably one of them. Another one would definitely be not, oh God, this is going to sound so awful, not networking, not being concerned about building relationships in my industry. Like I would just go do my job. I would kick ass at doing my job and then go home because I was so exhausted. But I think I would have had a very different, I think things would have been easier for me if I had taken the time to forge relationships and do collaborations instead of just like going to one production job, then another production job. Let's see, what's another one? God. I mean, there's so many. It would be difficult to choose.
When a life is full of trauma and instinct gone wrong and good storytelling, it actually kind of works out in your favor in the long run.
Oh, well, I think so. I've learned, it's so funny. I was reading your Substack and, I've watched a few of your podcasts now. And you're a really good storyteller, first of all. You're really good. And you do the same thing I do. You have so many asides. I love people who tell stories but have asides because it's so conversational and it's absolutely delightful. But one thing that I really like about your writing and your insight is that you are clearly someone who values insight as time goes on, right? And maybe things that happen to you in the past might mean different things as you get older or you learn other things or whatever. And I think that's, no matter how we start off in life and no matter how unsupported or supported we are, I think it's really important to like kind of keep that in mind, that life can suck so much. And maybe we don't necessarily believe that everything happens for a reason, but you can certainly assign reason to the things that happen.
Right.
And, and get something good out of them, even if you have to drag it, kicking and screaming. So, and at least you get a good story out of it, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah. So is there one thing that you finally learned to do the easy way in your life? When did you come around to that?
I think it would be asking for help. Because one of the problems that I think we all have, or those of us who need help, who when we go through those wilderness periods that take forever, is that we assume, like you go on Facebook and you put statuses, I still can't find a job, I still can't do this, oh my God, can somebody help me, blah, 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 blah. And we forget that other people aren't keeping track of how bad things are for us until we're about to lose our apartment, or we maybe have an attempt, if you know what I mean, or something really bad happens. And then everybody's like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? And I think I had this breakthrough about asking for help. Now, like sometimes we don't ask for help because we didn't get it in the past when we asked for it. And so we just were like, oh, I guess no one's coming to help me, so I'm doing this alone. But I think sometimes what we don't realize is that other people don't know how bad it is, and they don't know how to help. So when we go, like, I haven't had work in 7 months, can somebody, put the word out, ask around? Everybody assumes everybody else is doing it, so nobody does it. So what I learned was, like, if you need a job, what you need to do is find 5 people in your life. You say to one person, okay, can you sit with me for an hour or two and look at my resume? What am I doing wrong? How can I do it better? Then you do it with another person who might be good or interviews people. Can you run through some interviews with me? And then you talk to, and just give really specific things with how much time of theirs you need, and you're far more likely to get a yes.
That's a very valuable life lesson when you think about it. And it turns out that people really enjoy helping others.
Oh, it makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
I think it's our responsibility to make sure we are not a bottomless pit of need for the people in our lives. We're not put on this earth to create constant drama for the people in our lives. And we obviously have to learn from our lessons, and we have to grow as people too. But you're so right. Like, it feels so good to help people out. It feels amazing.
It does. Just thinking about giving back, and part of asking for help is almost like giving back, because you're showing your people that you're real, and that creates this real strong bond when you think about it, even on Facebook instead of like face to face. I was just thinking about that very deeply when you were talking about that.
It's so lovely. And it's so funny. I can't remember where I read this study, but there was a thing that says that people like you more if they do a favor for you, not if you do a favor for them,
Right.
but if they do a favor for you. It's like they become a little bit more invested in you.
Right.
It's just a lovely thing.
Showing your vulnerability is really important instead of your domination and how great you are. So it's interesting how people respond to that.
It's very interesting. I think we learn a lot when we ask for help about the people who are around us.
Have you had any WTF moments recently?
Do you mean besides looking at the news and everything that's going on?
Oh, dear.
Right, that aside.
You know what? Maybe we shouldn't put that aside. I don't really keep up much on politics and religion just because those are delicate areas. But when I read about what's going on in the UK and the lack of free speech there and all of the stuff that's going on, I guess based on the fact that Britain doesn't have a constitution.
That's right, yeah.
How does that affect your day to day in as much as being able to speak your piece?
Well, it hasn't stopped me so far. I'm pretty, as my grandmother would say, a pretty mouthy broad. Everybody in my family has always gone, your mouth is going to get you into trouble one day. And it probably has, more than I can count on 2 hands. But it has not affected me. But I know the law is, well, I think this is like this in every country. It's not applied equally, and it's not applied, in the same in every situation. So you're far more likely to get away with things online than you are in person if you're doing demonstrations or whatever. But any of the demonstrations I've been in, the protests, there hasn't been any problem at all, ever. I've live streamed from them and, whatever else. So I think it's just I think it's something that's applied not consistently, which just kind of is a bit weird. But what's cool is this is the kind of country where if you're arrested for protesting whatever, most people aren't going to hold that against you. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not going to hold it against you. So people are pissed off that this is even an issue. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about, it's serious, just like that was, and we'll get into the fun stuff in a little bit, but all of the knife crime in the UK, is that basically because they can't get guns like Americans and blow people away? They want to hurt them with their knives instead?
Well, that's interesting. It's so interesting you bring that up because we don't understand why that's a thing. Knife crime was a big deal 10 years ago, but London has never been safer than it is right now, ever. They just literally had another thing come out. The police, I think it was today or yesterday, talking about how much violent crime has reduced in London. Like, it's extraordinary for how many people are there, how non-violent it is. It's being used rhetorically by reform, but they don't have a problem lying about anything. They lie about literally everything. So,
So in a way, you're saying that maybe knife crime is a bit blown out by the media, and yet the stats show that it's way down.
oh, 100%. Like, the police will tell you that. The police. Everybody will tell you that. Everybody's really open. You got to feel for the cops, man. You got to feel for all the people who've been working in communities to like cut this stuff down. It must be such a slap in the face to be invested so much in the community and to really work and invest in cutting that, and then you do it against the odds, and then you have people lying and saying that it's the worst it's ever been.
So what is your sense then as to what they attribute the reduction in crime is?
Oh, definitely, like all kinds of stuff, but they've been like specifically targeting knife crime. There used to be a lot of acid attacks as well. It was a very uniquely London thing, but they've been specifically targeting it. Investing financially in community centers for kids. There's been all kinds of stuff they've been doing. Education, amnesties on knives, all kinds of stuff like that. And it's worked. I mean, it's taken a decade, but it's actually been pretty extraordinary to see how they've turned the city around.
Oh, that's very cool to hear.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Okay, so before we got into that crazy rant, we were talking about a WTF, a what the fuck moment you still don't understand even after all the therapy, journaling, and possibly too many carbs that you've gone through.
Okay, there's no such thing as too many carbs, first of all. Bite your tongue, Matthew. No, I know you love carbs as well. You're like a cheesy carb person like I am. So,
well, I dig the carbs. However, a lot of that is flourish and artistic decision because, I probably stay more towards the keto and carnivore
fair enough.
Side of the world. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you're an ideological carb fanatic.
Well, how could I shut everything out? I'm a trained chef, a lifelong chef, so I can't, I can't show that side of me.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you know? I think one thing that is definitely still a what the hell, what the fuck type of situation, I think, is people not doing the simplest thing. Okay, so a perfect example is this. My flat has been up for sale. This is the 9th buyer we're on now. The 9th buyer. There aren't any protections for buyers and sellers over here. Like, you can literally walk out of a sale till the day that the contract's exchange. There are no deposits. Nobody has to put a deposit down on a flat. There's no escrow. There's nothing. And so it's the Wild West when you come to selling houses. And the company that runs this, I live in an old building. I live in an Edwardian school. And all of the class, well, you can probably see, but this was an old classroom, and then they added the loft. And so the old windows are still there, the whole thing. Anyways, so people who run the thing have to answer questions when I have a buyer, and it literally takes them 5 minutes to answer the questions, and I will have to chase them for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I have to send photos of myself on my knees, begging them, can you just answer these questions before my buyer backs out, basically. That kind of stuff I don't get. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are we doing here? That kind of stuff drives me absolutely mad.
So how come they don't accept deposits and lock in potential buyers contractually to make it happen?
It's just the way it is here, man. And I talked to my estate agent after about the 4th buyer dropped out, or the 5th buyer dropped out, and I said, I'm going to have to start doing a deposit. And they were like, well, you can do that all you want, but no one's going to take you up on your offer, and it's going to be a nightmare getting contracts together and whatever else. So I was just like, they just kind of beat me down, Matthew, to be honest. So I think it's things like that. It's like, dude, just do your job. Like, just do your job. It's 5 minutes. That kind of stuff drives me mad.
So you've had 9 different people come in and express interest. You've been heating up the cinnamon and the lavender and all that to make the vibe really good inside your
Yes.
place. And yet,
Freshly baked bread or brownies that I've baked,
oh,
right?
you got to hand out free
Jazz,
samples, I think.
jazz, free samples, the whole 9 yards. And it's always the first or second person who comes in here who goes, yeah, I'm taking it. I have no problem getting a prospective buyer, but some of them fib about their mortgage approvals, or their circumstances change, or they find a flat they like better, or whatever it is. So, but this one, they put the offer in May, and it's still going on.
May of 25.
Yep.
And here we are in what? January 26, and you're
Just
planning
waiting
on
for a
moving.
moving date. I'm just waiting for the moving date. That's it. So I've been getting everything out, into storage, so that when they're like, okay, we're ready, I can just, vacate within a few days.
So do you think that maybe it's overpriced and that's why 9 people have expressed interest and then moved on?
Absolutely not overpriced.
No. What do you think
Nope.
it is? Something cosmic?
People, I think, they get very excited about the flat because you don't get true lofts
Right.
anymore, and I because this is south facing, I have literal trees in here that are 11, 12 feet high. People get very excited, and I think they just, before they get a chance to talk to a bank, or the process takes so long because the company takes so long to answer the questions, the buyers just pull out. It's just
Do people
so
have to
yeah.
get pre-qualified for mortgages like they do here?
No,
No.
they
So
can
they just,
literally say whatever they want.
no kidding.
Yeah, no
That
kidding.
sounds pretty inefficient, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Well, we got to nip this one in the bud and
yeah.
make sure number 10 is a go.
Well, I'm manifesting this one. I'm going to Liverpool whether I'm taking the flat with it or not. So
So what awaits you in Liverpool?
a better life,
Oh
more
yeah?
people more people in the arts. A lot of my writer friends, TV writer friends are there. One of my best friends is there. The water's beautiful. The beach right above Liverpool is amazing. It's just a nicer, quality of life there. I love Liverpool, and also I love the Beatles. I used to like. It's so funny when we visited Liverpool before I moved back over here for good, and I ended up living on the same streets I was walking on, like doing the Beatles tours and everything. And then I worked at the Cavern and everything. Like so there's something kind of a buzz about that. Like I love the Beatles. So yeah,
Oh, that's
it's just
cool.
a cool city. You'll have to go if you ever get a chance. It's amazing.
Oh,
There's some
definitely.
brilliant food there too.
Oh, okay. The whole food thing, as you know, is so important to everyone
Yeah.
because everyone eats. And so whatever you eat and you love, it's good. But tell me if you agree with me that food is the ultimate truth serum.
Ooh, ooh,
Because you said you could talk food, but I just wanted to kind of give you
yeah,
another angle to shoot
yeah.
for.
Yeah, people reveal a lot about themselves when they talk about food, and the way they talk about food and the way they eat food as well, I think says a lot about somebody.
What's the one dish, or maybe there's more than one dish, that tells your whole life story in one bite? Is there anything like that?
I think it would. Oh, see, I'm going to either. Can I give two?
Yes, yes. We're,
Okay.
we're very open and free around here.
Thank you. I would say Southern barbecue meal with cornbread. I make everything from scratch, right? Like barbecue chicken thighs, all that stuff, all that goodness. Or my mother's white trash lasagna,
You know,
which, sorry, go ahead.
white trash lasagna sounds great to everybody, I
Oh
think.
my God, it's the best. Yeah,
What does she do
I
with it
love it.
that makes it so special and white trashy?
Well, there's nothing made. See, when I make lasagna, the only thing we don't make from scratch are the noodle, or is the pasta.
Right.
But I do everything from scratch. So,
Okay.
this is the way I am a cook. I love to cook. But my mom used to get like big jars of ragu or whatever, and she did all the layering properly. But she used to use cottage cheese instead of
Ricotta.
ricotta
Uh-huh.
or whatever, bechamel or whatever. And so she would cottage cheese all over it. She'd put tons of mozzarella through everything.
Oh, like the
And then
Jackson Pollock version of
yes,
lasagna. Uh-huh.
yes. And so she didn't just put mozzarella on the top. You know what I mean? No, every layer. And then she'd put pepperonis on the top as well for a little fanciness. And then she'd put so much sauce in it, though, that when you would put something on your plate, it would just turn into this lasagna soup.
Right.
And that is the metaphor for my life, is lasagna soup. Delicious, a little unexpected, a little bit chaotic.
The great collapse.
But you're still getting exactly what you were hoping to get.
Well, those general flavors are still there, even in the white trash lasagna.
Yeah.
What's your comfort food if like stuff's hitting the fan?
Oh,
Do you have a go-to?
oh, yeah. A couple of things. If I don't have a lot of energy, like if everything is like really awful, I will do. There's a couple things. One is I'll make a bolognese because you can put it in the oven for 4 hours once you make your sofrito, and that's good. Or I will do scrambled eggs. Okay, rye bread. Then you take chives or green onions. Now, I know you're not supposed to cook them too much. I know that that's not what you're supposed to do. But you cook them. You make scrambled eggs. You don't mix it with milk. You don't mix it with anything. You make them soft. You put it right on that rye bread with the butter, with the green onions. Absolutely phenomenal.
Oh,
How about you? What do you like?
Oh, well, best case scenario would be lox and schmear bagels.
Oh, okay. How much schmear? How big a schmear are we talking here?
I mean, how much do you have?
Okay, that's the right answer. Okay.
Okay, so what's in your fridge right now?
The bolognese I made the other day. I take bolognese very, very seriously. Like, I think there's something kind of, because you haven't got a lot to do, right? As long as you know what you're doing when it comes to the sofrito, and then you just put it on a low oven for hours. You can do it for up to like 8 hours. That is so low and slow with a mix of pork and beef.
Okay.
Mix is important.
Do you use tomato paste in bolognese?
I do.
Do you saute that and brown it a little bit before?
I do.
Okay, good girl.
So you do the sofrito, and then you add the tomato paste, and then sometimes if you've got wine, you put a little wine in there, a little red wine or whatever. I put a lot of garlic in though. Like I put in probably about 4 or 5 big cloves, like big elephant garf cloves. And then you make it all together, and then you put it in the oven in a good pan. You just leave that bad boy to cook, and then it's sitting there and it's waiting. So I've got that, and then I made some homemade chicken soups because I make my own broth and everything, right? So chicken soup, cannellini beans, that too. But with
you got that whole Italian
chickens.
thing actually kind of like brewing in your past, don't you?
Yeah, because I used to work when I was a waitress. I used to waitress at Italian restaurants, so I always paid attention to what the chefs were doing. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know why people don't do that. You're literally getting cooking lessons right across the thing.
Right.
So why wouldn't you pay attention?
My whole thing has always been, why don't people cook instead of driving through a fast food place? And, they always talk about, I don't like to cook. It takes too much time. And I think about the amount of time that it takes to get in your car and drive and do that whole thing instead of just learning how to make a few simple items. But I mean, that's just me. It's quirk, right?
Yeah, it's so easy. And then you just batch it, you stick it in the freezer, and then it's ready for you whenever you need it. What's in your freezer right now? Like, what do you like to batch cook?
Oh my gosh. I just got a bunch of whole prime grade briskets that I broke down and then vacuum sealed them. So I have enough brisket meat for 2 years. There's shrimp and there are chicken breasts. I keep a lot of stuff on hand. So I can always I can do a tikka tonight and I can do a brisket tomorrow. That's kind of who I am and what I do. Anyway, I make my cats scrambled eggs every morning.
That's lovely. That's gorgeous.
And I make them what I call daddy chicken for the rest of the week. which is just pressure cooked chicken quarters. Snip it up and put it in the fridge, and there you go. Bob's your uncle.
That's so cool. Oh, those cats are loving life.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any pets?
I wish. I am such an animal person. We're not allowed to have them in this building, though. So
What about when you get to Liverpool?
I am thinking about it. Yes, I'll probably get a dog.
I want to talk about the book. Your book is the
Sure.
anti-self-help book. So tell me a little bit about it.
I mean, it's so weird, Matthew, because like that book, there are people who say they've gone through a hard time, and there are people who've actually been through a hard time. And again, I'm not coming at this for like I'm a victim of this or whatever, but I really had the shittiest decade, like really, really bad. I mean, even just the last 2 years, I've had two friends die. My best friend died. My nana died. The sale of my flat fell through 8 times. We're on the 9th now. Serious unemployment, or I was working 6 jobs at the same time and burning out. I've had, I mean, there's just it's too long a list. You know what I mean? And the problem was this, is that when you're in real crisis, like, really, really bad crisis, every self-help book is either written by somebody who doesn't really know what a hard time is, or they expect you when you're in a crisis to like read a 50-page chapter and complete a workbook. And
Right.
that is not how crisis works. Like, what I wanted to do was write something where, like, my main concern was this, like, how do I write something where if somebody reads it and they literally have been bawling their eyes out in their car and they can't even face going inside yet, right, to their house or to their work or whatever, how can I reach them? And so I decided to write this book with, like, if you only have enough energy for one sentence, you just get one sentence. If you need a joke, you get a joke. If you need an activity, you get an activity, a story, or whatever else. And then I did it into the things that drove me the most crazy: assholes, money, heartbreak, grief, all of these things. And then, so I did all that, and then I needed a spine, something to build the whole concept around. And so I did this thing about connecting the dots, and how when you're really going through all the crap, everybody says, oh, you just connect the dots, you'll learn when you're on the other side. And that doesn't help. And, like, you don't even know what the dots look for. And all of these really shitty things that happened ended up like in a pinball game. You hit this bit because you went through that bit. And then this bit made you learn this so that you could do this. So like when lockdown happened and the industry completely collapsed,
Right.
It went through the floor, the TV and film industry. I had no money. I was like single mom. I was like, what am I going to do to pay my bills? And so I, out of sheer desperation, had a network course that now is my biggest earner. It's the thing that flies me around the world. I never would have done that if I hadn't had that crisis.
Do you think that people who write self-help books or anti-self-help books are just like people who become therapists, that they've really gone through a lot of shit and they decide, well, this is what I know, so I'm going to write a book to help people get past this stuff?
Yeah, like, I mean, I just wanted to write the book that I wish that I had had. I can't say anything for all of the other authors who've written the self-help books that I've read, but I have a very weird group of talents and experience. So, I used to be a researcher, and then I worked on documentaries. So I researched loads of stuff. So I was always able to like distill stuff down into little tiny points. And I read really widely, so that is one thing. It's good because then I can distill lots of stuff. And my background is in stand-up and comedy writing, so I could put a funny slant on it. And because I don't give a shit what people generally think of me, and so that vulnerability, like, I didn't have a problem sharing the ugly stuff. Now, when I published it, I freaked out. I didn't even think about this, but I really freaked out about not strangers knowing those things about me, but people who I knew knowing those things about me. But other than that, I think you have to really be willing to bare your soul and be honest about how ugly healing is. It's so ugly. It is not yoga by a waterfall. It is snot bubbles and just disgusting, and a lot of times we have to do it alone. and it's really isolating and whatever else. And so because I had that decade of isolation, I just know what it's like to just not know how you can be able to make it another minute, let alone another day or week. And I have no problem talking about that. So, yeah.
Which topic was the hardest to write about without throwing your laptop out the window? Was it the assholes, the grief, the idiots, the money, the work? What was it?
Grief.
Yeah.
Because I didn't include grief. And then, so the book was coming out in April of last year, and my best friend died at the end of January after a 4-day illness, cold, pneumonia, stroke, gone.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I didn't get to say goodbye. You know, it was just, it was fairly horrific. And she's my ride or die. We've been, together since 1985. Talking every day, like she was and she was the person who got me through that 10 years. And so, something told me, you've got to write this chapter. And so, yeah, it was the hardest one, but I got it done.
You talked about the pandemic when that happened, and you've also mentioned 10-year period. Where are we in that 10-year period? Are we post, or where are we?
We're beyond seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
Uh-huh.
The foundations are a little shaky still, but if you had told me 2 or 3 years ago that I'd be where I am now, I wouldn't believe you. Like I didn't see how I could turn things around, because my solution to problems is to work harder. It's always been to work harder. When you do that for 8 years or 9 years and it doesn't solve your problems, you don't know what else to do. Like you literally don't know what else to do. So, but I'm almost there, and I can now see those things that were so horrible, and the time that it took gave me the opportunity to heal from things that I never ever thought I would be able to heal from. And that's the biggest gift. Like, it has been a struggle, and my nervous system is shot. It's shot to hell. I don't know if that will ever change.
Well, that's where your Jack Daniels comes in.
Yeah, that's what the Jack, exactly. But, I don't think there are a lot of people who can say they are 80% healed if they've been through really, really traumatizing crap in their childhood. So I think it's a gift at the same time. But I'm grateful that certain books and people and insights came into my life so that I could begin to look for, okay, how can I turn this around? What does this mean? What am I learning from this?
Do you have a 30-second survival ritual that you go through?
A 30-second survival ritual. Besides, like, hiding in a closet and eating Doritos? That's my favorite one.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's highly rated.
My friends and I think it was Simon Sinek or someone had said that they have a thing where you can talk someone down off a ledge in 8 minutes. And so if any of their groups of friends have a crisis, they know that if they text each other and go, I need 8 minutes, can you give me 8 minutes? Then that's a very important thing. And so I wouldn't say I've gone as far with my friends as like saying 8 minutes, but I think it's really important for you. Once you can do things like regulate your breathing and that type of stuff, that's probably more important than anything else, is to just to have a couple people in your life where all of you can reach each other and they can answer, and you can literally pour out to them as soon as they answer to get it all out. But
you were talking earlier about connection.
Yes.
That you're working on right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Like I said, in lockdown, I didn't know what else to do. And everybody, all the writers, the TV writers were just, what do we do? Everything's screwed. And so I was like, well, what am I bad at? I have to make money. What am I bad at? And I'll fix that. And I realized that, like so many of us writers, were terrible at networking because we're introverted and weird and we work alone and we're exhausted all the time. And so I was like, well, I know that my career has sucked because of it. So what I did was I reverse engineered all my mistakes, and I combined it with my research background and I did communication when I was younger and body language and all that stuff and marketing. And I combined all that knowledge and just came up with a system. And it works. And it's so weird, Matthew, because like I was like, I'm going to try it out for the summer. I'm going to do loads of Zooms, adjust it, chop it, change it, see what works, see what doesn't. And I'm not even going to charge anyone because I just want their feedback. Well, it just exploded from the very beginning. It exploded, and now it's what's great about it is when you talk about what you know. See, people don't realize that what they know is actually really special because we have what's called the curse of knowledge. So we think because something comes easily to us and we know it, that everybody else does too, but that's not the case.
Right.
So what ended up happening was, instead of me reminding everybody in this industry that I am alive, I just help solve their problems. And then that's the best type of networking you can do, is to solve people's problems for them and to connect with them that way. So, and every time I do a talk, then that leads to another talk. So, I do one for the Writers Guild, and then somebody from the Estonian Writers Guild is there. And then the next thing I know, I'm going to Scandinavia, I'm going to the Baltics, teaching there. It's just, I'm Antigua, just all over the place. And it's quite exciting. And really what it comes down to is that we all want to be connected, and we all want to feel that we contribute and that people listen to us and that we've got something to say, and we've got collaborations, we've got stuff that we can do, and we want that back from other people too, right? And it's just magnificent.
And it's time. Give everybody the name of your book, and then we're going to turn the tables.
Okay. It's good stuff to read when you're about to lose your shit, and yeah.
Available everywhere books are sold.
Available? No, just
No.
my website. I don't do the Amazon thing. I don't do the Apple Books thing. Just on my website.
Okay.
It's pure punk rock.
Tell me why, and then tell me what your website is.
Because when you do things like Amazon, you have certain rules with them. First of all, I take 30%. How dare they? Plus the credit card fees and whatever else. But you can't sell a book cheaper anywhere else, like if you have it on Amazon. So I wouldn't be able to. I usually have my book in with a speaking fee. You see what I mean? I'm a big believer in us going together, and I mean it when I say we should be helping each other out and we should be looking after each other. And so I don't want to give my money to companies that don't do that.
Now, from a marketing perspective, once again, we're talking about that. Are the number of eyeballs that Amazon can possibly bring to you worth not working with them?
I've had this conversation with so many people.
I bet you have.
My dad, loads of people. And I get it. I just, I don't do things unless my gut, it's not even just my gut. It's my body has to literally go, yes, I want to do that. And I'm still going, no, because I don't want to, that's not how I want to do business.
You don't want to work with the man.
That's it. I'm going to stick it to the man any way possible.
Fair enough. Okay, now you've whet everyone's appetite. What is your website?
It's www.itsamandagraham.com, as in ITSAMANDAGRAHAM.com.
Okay, Amanda, you've survived all my questions, my chaos, my food metaphors, and the emotional equivalent of a cattle stampede. Now it's your turn. You get to ask me 2 or 3 questions that you might have, anything you want, because you earned it. So this gives you a chance to get playful, curious if you want.
I'm excited. Okay, I need to know Pink Floyd. I need to know.
About my days with Pink Floyd?
Yes.
Well, they tell me I had a good time.
Right.
Okay, so that's pretty much where I'm at with that now. The days I'll never remember.
If you could have any meal from the historical past, what would it be?
A camel being stuffed with a lamb, being stuffed with fowl, and then being roasted over a gigantic spit in Morocco. And so something like that would probably turn me on, like turducken to the 10th power.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But that's not
Good
like my
choice.
go-to last meal.
What's your death row meal?
Yeah, because I've committed so many crimes.
I just love to know what would people's last meal be on Earth? Like before what would yours be?
A lot of people, they ask that question. It's one of those forever questions, which is interesting because you're giving so much power and weight to your last meal. Why wait till then? Enjoy it now.
That's a very good point.
Right?
Okay, that's an excellent
And I
point.
do that. So that's part of what I do. I will not wait for the last meal of king crab or mom's crap lasagna. I will just, I will eat everything I want now.
That's fair enough. What's your
Yeah.
favorite flavor of ice cream?
Swiss almond chocolate, which has an orange and chocolate kind of tone, and it's got a little bit of like almond chips in it as well. So it's an orange chocolate or chocolate orange.
Okay, nice. And what's the brand so I can look out for it? Or is it like an American
It
brand?
would. There was an indie ice cream shop in LA when I was living there. This is going back, went back when the earth was cooling. And I used to go there. So it wasn't a brand. It was just some ice cream shop.
Okay. And what's the worst advice anybody ever gave you?
Don't do that.
Okay. Okay. Does that happen multiple times to
That
you?
people say don't do it. Oh yeah. My response is always the same. Is just pretty much walk away from that and continue blazing my own trail and doing my own thing.
Did you ever listen to that advice and regret it?
Perhaps a little bit when it came to, business or big life decisions, I would always ignore it. Very cool. Amanda Graham, thank you so much for hanging out with me on 50 Tastes Great. I had a good time. I hope you did too.
Oh my God, I had the best time. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been great.
I want you to say aloha to everyone now.
Aloha.